But more important than that, how you'll get the greatest return on your time is how you manage your boss. And you'll notice in this that these series of boxes we like to call in a molecule. I'm going to fill them in here, where it's you as the center or you as the staff, but immediately you have above you is your boss, and you have internal peers, external peers, and around you in the center when you become a manager. Now, let me clarify one thing. Everybody in here is an individual contributor. Is there anybody here that has managerial responsibilities? Anybody that have direct reports over whom they can hire and fire or have budget responsibility? Anybody? Okay, Tori, how many direct reports do you have? How many people report to you? How many? You're the boss. How many?
Well, it depends. It's a theatrical company, so it depends on.
Oh, show busy. Oh, good. Oh, terrific. Yeah, let's talk later. We can tell a little more about that. Because I am an individual contributor also. That I do the doing, and once you move into some kind of managerial position, you will notice that your boss has to do more and to be more than just competent in the vocation, more than just doing things. A part of what your boss does is has to manage a whole series of relationships. Your boss manages a whole series of relationships of internal peers, external peers, a staff that he works with, and his boss too. To start with you and your boss, there's accountability and followership. In that, to be a good leader, you must be a good follower. To be a good leader, you must be a good follower. Now, apologies to John Donne, no man is an island, and we're not lost on an island. But the most important thing about this molecule is the interaction between you and the center and the relationships around you. Remember, you're not alone. It feels like it, I know it often seems confusing when you're doing the doing, but more important in the vocational work that your boss is responsible for is managing the relationships. Now, one of the things that your boss has to be worried about and managing his management time are the external peers. And these external peers in the business world are traditionally customers, and in government it's normally voters, and there's all manner of constituents. The internal peers is a special and interesting group of peers in an organization, because these good people, it often seems, are at odds with the boss. We often have challenges with HR, with finance, with the Army called the ash and trash units, of supporting the boss, the manager. But it's going to be part of our job to help develop those relationships so that the internal peers and allocating scarce resources. Now, the internal peer, the guy that runs finance or the techie guy, the technologist, he's not deliberately being mean to you. He's simply trying to allocate scarce resources, because he's got unlimited demand rolling in for what he does, and he's got limited time and limited resources. So what does this guy do, your internal peer? He makes you fill out a form, take a number, does queuing, red tape, and my favorite, office politics. Now, we are familiar with politics, but office politics are the best, because that's how you persuade and make a friend of your internal peers to get things done. It's not fair, is it? But that's how office politics works. And line of supervision. Now let's look at the molecule again, and from the government's point of view. Let's put a campaign manager in the center of this. We still have the accountability and followership, and remember that this molecule of management is consistent across all the .govs. Now, friends, I've had positions of some responsibility in government and nonprofit organizations, military, academia, and medical device startup companies, and it's all. Each one of those dots can be managed exactly the same. This is literally, remember, an operating system, just like your computer, that no matter where you go, you will see and use this molecule of management. Now, you can see that everything is exactly the same with a campaign manager as it was in the previous slides. But one of the things that I find so fascinating about government and government work and politics is that what academia calls multiple points of accountability. With every major organization you have multiple things coming at you from different parts. In business they call that stakeholders, but in government, this is where you find most of the influence of outsiders that can affect your boss. And when you are the intern in an office, you can have more stuff come at you from more directions than in any other calling or any other profession. Now, my wife, Charmaine, was able to get a White House internship, which led to her getting a job in the West Wing, the real West Wing of the White House. And whereupon, I married her, and now she has 5 kids and a nice big corner office. And helping me today is John Wesley Yoest III, on camera over there as my technical advisor and filmer. And it all came about because of an internship project. All right, this is my favorite slide. This is where I want to spend time on. Is the relationship between you and your boss. Now, the best way that you can manage your time is to control the timing and content, of what comes at you. And the best way that you can do that is to help manage your boss. And let me draw for you a scenario that happens in every office every day of the week. You are working on a problem in your cubicle, and out walks your boss, your manager, and he's walking down the hall, and you jump out from behind and say, "Hey boss, we got a problem." Now, your boss was on his way someplace, and then remember, he didn't have a problem until you jumped up and used the second person plural and said, "We've got a problem." Well, he didn't have a problem until you jumped up in his face and he said, "Boss, let me tell you." And you start describing, and you start regurgitating, and you just start vomiting problem all over this guy. And the manager, that boss, remember, is not as smart as anybody in the